Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Scorpio energy. And we're going to get these cards out, then we're going to shuffle the Intuit deck to see what it wants to add to the story. At the end, we're going to see what a potential outcome could be for people based on if they harness a more high vibrational Scorpio energy or a more worldly or shadowy Scorpio energy. Everyone has free will with all the zodiac sign traits and characteristics. We can harness them in a more high vibrational way or a more shadowy way. And we've all got lessons to learn in life. A more shadowy Scorpio nature is we're just maybe not ready to be more authentically ourselves in the world, more open to giving and receiving love. Could like to keep our emotions buried beneath the surface because they're confusing and, it can feel overwhelming. But a more shadowy Scorpio could be intimidating, controlling, narcissistic. We've either learned lessons in life to offer love, to be willing to get out of our defensiveness and our ego, to realize love is the answer. And we offer love to situations, but some people haven't learned that lesson yet. And some people do try to intimidate, control, or manipulate people to get them to do what they want, use their emotions, their sexuality, their words, their status, their money, whatever, to try to manipulate people. But high vibe Scorpio is emotional water sign energy. We're either connected in with our emotions and we're being like authentic and honest and loving, or we're kind of using our emotions to try to emotionally manipulate people. So just listen to your intuition about where you might be in the story, how you harness your Scorpio energy, because we all tap into Scorpio, and listen to your intuition about other people in your life. We have burdens reverse, fear reverse, and children. When we learn these lessons, and that can take the first 30, 40 years of our life to learn a lot of these lessons we need to learn in life, and we get out of our more immature nature, our more defensive nature, quit letting our fear and our ego and our defensive nature and our more immature self-centered nature run our life, that's when we let that more hopeful, believing, loving nature come out. And we work together with other people in that energy. The children card reminds me of the Six of Cups, which is Scorpio energy, where people feel safe with other people in their life that they know aren't defensive, acting out of fear or something, that are loving and authentic, and they can let their inner child out to play in the world. And the reason this came out is because of fear of death. Well, if we know we have loving, nurturing, supportive people in our life, and we don't want to self-sabotage it, we don't want it to end. And so it can be the catalyst to make us do this work within ourselves, to be in more balance within ourselves, more hopeful and believing, so that we can work with those people in our life. But there's going to be other people in the world that, because of their fear of rejection, maybe, when a card is in reverse, it can mean extremes. There's some people that are extremely overwhelmed and defensive and fearful and have a lot of fear of working together with other people, being more authentic. And then if they can try to mask that, because again, you're either being truthful and honest, or you're kind of trying to create an illusion and manipulate people because you want to be in a relationship with them. They wear a mask, they get in relationships with people, but then because of their fear and their insecurities and all that stuff, they can be intimidating and controlling in a relationship. And this card here kind of looks like the Scorpio death card in tarot. What is our truth? I like to keep my emotions buried beneath the surface. I want to be in relationships with people, but I don't trust people. So I'm going to try to manipulate and control them. I'm in non-life-giving energy. I'm not aligned with truth and love. I let my fear and my insecurities, or wanting what I want, thinking I can manipulate people to get what I want. And, that's their truth. So this one is a sickle, but the typical Rider-Waite Scorpio death card is holding a sword of truth. And if we see the truth, that it starts within us, I have to work through my own fears, insecurities, immature nature, defensive nature, prideful nature, controlling nature, whatever. That will transform my life, because that's what high vibe Scorpio death card is about. I have to see the truth of the things I need to work through to let go of, because it stops me, death stops me from giving birth to a new version of myself, a more free, independent, loving aspect of myself. But some people never see the truth of it. It's just to find the right people that they can manipulate. Or shadowy Six of Cups is, I have this way of being in the world. I don't want to detach from any of those ways of being. I just need to find someone who will kind of enable me repeating this way of interacting with people, which is kind of, in shadow, more immature. And for some people, that's their truth. No, I don't need to change. No, I don't need to heal from past pain and heartbreak, fear, insecurity, my pride, my ego, my defensive nature. No, that's not the issue. I just need to find people who will enable me in my non-life-giving, loving, non-loving nature. And they'll keep trying to find someone who will enable them in their poor behavior. So, I look at the last card as the overarching reason for the reading, and it's the occupation card, which reminds me of the Eight of Pentacles card, which is Virgo energy, and Virgo energy is kind of about what our truth is also. And whatever our truth is what we're going to invest our time, energy, and effort into. The card following that is the photograph card, which can either be, I have this way of viewing life, I have this image in my head of how I expect life to be, maybe based on how I was brought up, or just some idea I came up with once upon a time in my life, and that's how I want to do things. I don't want to give birth to anything new. The death card. I want to keep doing the same pattern over and over and over. I don't want to change. I don't want to let go of anything. I want to keep moving forward like this. Well, if there's some people that are like that, and Scorpio is fixed sign energy, can be unwilling to look at life from a different perspective, well, they have this way of viewing life, and that's how they want to view life. The snapshot also kind of makes me think of narcissism. Shadowy Scorpio can reference narcissism. You know, some people, again, have this way of viewing life, and they're caught up in kind of the illusion of it, and they're looking for other people who are maybe caught up in the illusion of them. Other people, their truth is, high vibe Virgo's about learning lessons in life. I lived my life at a phase of life. I had a great time living it that way. I took lots of pictures, have lots of good memories, but there comes a time where I'm not in that phase of life anymore. It's time to grow up, heal, mature myself. And I need to let some of these ways of being, just like I don't stay 15 or 18 years old or 21 years old or 25 years old forever. You know, I want to grow to my full potential. I need to let some things go and let that phase of life be over. That way of viewing life, that way of living life, the way of viewing myself, the way of viewing the world. I've lived life. I have learned more lessons along the way. And now I can kind of see what things should be let go of. Reminds me of that Bible verse. When I was a child, I thought like a child. I spoke like a child. When I grew up, I put away my childish ways of being. You know, there comes a time, you know, that if we don't move forward in life, it does become stagnant. There's nothing new to learn there. The death card. We're not growing, we're not healing, we're not maturing, we're not growing to our full potential. And we need to put in work and effort to figure out what are those things that we're kind of attached to that keep us stuck and stagnant. Is it pain? Is it heartbreak? Is it self-limiting beliefs? Is it fear of change? Is it my ego? Is it my lust, my greed, my laziness? You know, what things are we so afraid of letting go of that are keeping us from having that more hopeful, believing, inspired inner child nature about us? So, but some people, again, they have this way of viewing life maybe from when they were like a child. And for some of them, when I was young, people indulged me in my more immature behavior. That's how I want to keep moving forward. I keep indulging in my more immature behavior. I want to work with other people who will repeat that pattern and indulge me in my more immature way of viewing life, viewing relationships, maybe where it's more about me, or just consumed with things of the world. Let's go indulge in these things of the world to make us feel better. Let's go make our life about these things of the world to make us feel better, without really kind of growing up and maturing ourselves and becoming more independent, not letting our worldly, shadowy, more immature nature keep manipulating us to free ourselves from some of those things. Because high vibe energy is about being independent, living your more authentic life, letting love and intuition guide you instead of fear and insecurity or ego. So, what's going on in Scorpio energy? We have manifestation, journey, and the fox. And the fox says Scorpio energy. Why did this come out? Because of great fortune and success in love. The fox card kind of reminds me, though, of like a Seven of Swords card. Scorpio is kind of also represented by the Seven of Cups. And the fives and the sevens in tarot can talk about, we can get into situations or live our life a certain way, get a job, get in a relationship. But the fives and the sevens are kind of those kind of challenging moments of, is this what I still want to move forward with? Is this aligned with my truth? Do I want to keep moving forward in this way? What about the people I'm in a relationship with? Do we have the same truth? Are we motivated and inspired by the same things? Do we have the same dreams? What do we view as abundant? A more shadowy Virgo nature that any of us can harness can be, I want to look like I have all these things that other people have in the world. I want to look victorious and successful in the world. Some of those people, the fox can talk about people kind of being sneaky, lies, a trap, witty, sly, charm, con, fraud, manipulation, hidden intentions. Some people, I just want to be in a relationship. It would make it look like I've moved on, look like I've changed, look like I've grown and healed and matured myself, looks like I'm victorious and successful. It's good for my ego and my image. Some people just want to be in a relationship just to be in a relationship. They could be tipped out of balance. You know, they don't know how to love themselves. It could stop them from feeling more balanced within ourselves. We all like to be in relationships. You know, it is conducive to our emotional health, but you know, we can have a lot of different, we don't have to be in a romantic relationship to have that more transformative energy. We can have other people in our life. We can have people in our workplace, people in our family, people in a friendship group, just people in the world that we work with. And if we invest in people and focus our attention, invest our time, energy, and effort into people who are abundant in being just, being fair, being loving, being encouraging and supportive. That alone, you don't have to be in a romantic relationship to have those type of environments in your life that are supportive and encouraging. But, you know, when we're kind of more caught up in the world, you know, and maybe we haven't learned to love ourselves, we could be repeating a pattern of the past where we're in more codependent energy. And when we were children, we were really looking to the people in our life, like our parents, to love us and nurture us and make us feel more stable and grounded. And, it can take a lot. I think one of the hardest lessons to learn is to love yourself, to be like abundant within yourself. Great fortune. I have learned to be like a good mother, father, coach voice to myself because I'm not a child anymore. And I have to learn to take over that role within myself. I don't want to keep staying in codependent energy where I don't learn how to love myself and temper my own fears and insecurities and deal with my own heartbreak, because otherwise it keeps me in codependent energy. And then I can get in relationships with people who are happy I'm in codependent energy. And they're like, oh, look, there's this person who could be loving and nurturing and creative and inspired, but they haven't really learned to love themselves, kind of deceived, haven't worked through the mental confusion and emotional confusion of working through that. Yeah, I'll get in a relationship with you. That'd be great. But they might not have your best intentions at heart. Oh, are you looking for someone to parent you? Perfect. I'll be like the parent, you be like the child. I be like the boss, you be like the employee. And they could harness a more shadowy Scorpio energy. Oh, you're in codependent energy. Let me take advantage of you. You haven't learned to love and believe in yourself. And it's part of the process of learning to love and believe in ourselves. Well, we've all went through relationships like that, and some people are going through relationships like that right now. And then in the poverty card, which is like the Five of Pentacles card, we could be putting in work and effort to move a relationship forward. Over here, we have the car, which is like the Chariot. I want to move forward with the Aquarius Snowflake Star card. I had a dream. I got in this relationship. I took this job. I got in this friendship. I thought we were all going to do this work within ourselves. Now that we're in a supportive, encouraging environment, to work through those things that made us feel in lack before. Now I'm in a relationship. A loving, nurturing, the great water can mean the emotional realm, that we're in relationships with people who are being loving and encouraging and supportive. And even some of the shadowy people in our life, because they want to be in a relationship with us, in their own way, they can be loving and encouraging and supportive to us. But they might not really, their idea of how they want to move forward in the relationship and their idea of what's victorious and the dream relationship could be different than our idea. But we can move forward with them in a relationship. But we can have these different ideas of how this is supposed to move forward. Some people, with this card reminding me of the Chariot card, the people have hope and faith and belief and love, even though they maybe hadn't really learned to love themselves, still have hope and faith and belief and love. And they're very loving and nurturing and encouraging people. And they want this dream to come into reality. And then the stork is about Aries energy, giving birth to something new. I think if I get in a relationship with you, we can all have our fears, our insecurities, our self-limiting beliefs. Just like if we were friends with someone at age 15, we could end up moving forward with those people, till we're 80 years old. So long as everyone is willing to do this work in a supportive, encouraging environment where we all take responsibility for working through some of those issues maybe that we might keep buried beneath the surface, our past pain and heartbreak, our fears, our insecurities, our defensiveness. And if everybody takes responsibility for that within themselves, to keep being willing to learn lessons. The Five of Pentacles lets go of the Four of Pentacles, which was this old way of living life and holding on to life. Same way if we knew people when we were 15, and we're all moving forward in life as an example. Well, if we're kind of moving forward in life, detaching from some old ways of being, and we're kind of moving forward, having hope and faith and belief, and we're becoming like 18-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 25 years olds, we're putting in this work and effort to face our fears and insecurities, but we have someone in our life who kind of keeps wanting to hang out and do things acting like we were 15 years old again, we kind of might keep our distance from some of those people. It's like, can I still love you and wish you the best? But yeah, we're kind of what drives and motivates us and what we like to invest our time and attention and things into, and what we maybe find emotionally fulfilling is different. So you can have all sorts of different people in your life, and everybody can wish everybody peace and love. And I acknowledge that what motivates and inspires you and how you like to live your life is different than me. But can we all work together in workplaces and communities and family dynamics? Yes. When it becomes a bigger problem is if it's, say, a really good friend who's been in your life for a long time, and groups of friends or something, or a romantic interest. Then it's more challenging because we want them to move forward with us. And they also could have people in their life, sometimes, especially if it's a friend, well, if they're in a relationship or they're married or their original family isn't willing to kind of move forward or encourage them moving forward, maybe being, because high vibe energy is being more independent, shining your authentic light in the world, overcoming some of your fears and insecurities, and willing to kind of step out of your comfort zone to move forward in life differently. If they have people in their life that they would kind of have to maybe become more independent of, but it can be difficult because they love those people. And if those people aren't willing to move forward in this way, they could have a hard time moving forward in that way. So say you have a friend and you're kind of motivating, you are someone who they would like to keep being friends with, but maybe some of their family members don't really want them to keep being friends with you because you have detached from some old ways of being. And then some people in their family could kind of have a problem with them moving forward in that way and them being more independent, even if it's just a friend or a sibling. Well, I have mental conflict with you moving forward with those people because we have our dualistic nature. We have different people in our life. We have people who are loving and encouraging and supportive, kind of inspire us to love and believe in ourselves. But we can also have some people in our life who kind of want us to keep living life the way we've lived it because that's how they live it, and they want us to hang out with them. And they might not want to look at life differently and might not be more emotionally motivated by love or being inspired. We can all have people in our life that we maybe like to go party with, or that we like to, I don't know, maybe more about ego or image. But we can have those people in our life, again, friends and family. But, if we kind of want to move forward in life differently, we don't want to keep repeating a certain pattern, but they're happy still repeating that pattern of life and viewing life, which is fine. It's just that sometimes some people, and that's what some people, I guess we could look at the great water as kind of like a Scorpio, Seven of Cups energy. It's confusing. We can have different people in our life that we would like everybody to move forward in a more emotionally balanced. The Chariot is Cancer energy, a more emotionally balanced, loving way where everybody has some hope and faith and belief in themselves to give birth to something new. But you have to put in work and effort to work through those things that try to keep you stuck in the past. And some people have conflict about it because they could have some people in their life that aren't willing to move forward in that way. And that's when, if it's a friend or a family member, if they have other people in their life that are a primary foundation in their life, like they're married, well, that's something they need to work through, and we could wish them peace and love. I'm sad. The Five of Pentacles can kind of feel like feeling left out in the cold. I'm sad that you and whoever is a primary commitment in your life aren't both willing to move forward in this way, but I'm ready to move forward in this way, so I wish you peace and love, but I am going to listen to my intuition. And needless to say, they're married. Well, you're not married to that person, so, well, you got to do what you got to do and work through your things in your relationship. But I am going to keep moving forward to pursue my dream. And if they don't want you to hang out with me because they're afraid you'll become maybe more independent, want to give birth to something new, that's something you need to work out with them. But if it's your own romantic relationship, then that's more challenging, because what is it that keeps them from moving forward with you in a more emotionally balanced, hopeful, believing way in love? It could be maybe that would require them to kind of step out of their comfort zone, and they're not ready to maybe shine their more authentic light in the world. First it's hard and to learn these lessons to just love yourself, and then to become like more authentically yourself and live your more authentic life. High vibe Aquarius is about stepping outside of societal norms to bring needed change. And if we're kind of caught up in wanting to manifest, maybe more caught up in living more from our mind than our heart, making our life more about these things of the world or ego or image or status. Some people don't want to step out of that way of living life, probably because it is kind of how they define their worth and value. And then ego can get involved, and I'm not willing to live my more authentic life. What would other people say? And I'm used to living my life like this, and I think people view me this certain way. And if I were to live my more authentic life and go do what I really want to do, well, for one, you kind of got to get through your ego to live your more authentic life. And, that's all a process of becoming, and some people aren't willing to do that. Some people don't want to detach, and we have our free will. And then the Five of Pentacles is Taurus energy. What is my philosophy of life? What am I going to work with? And what do I value? Is it more important to have a certain status and image in the world? And that's the most important thing to me. And I think I need to work with these things of the world. Having a certain status and image and the way people view me is what's most important. Other people, we've all been kind of caught up in all those things of the world that we wanted to manifest, but, other people could end up feeling like, I have all those things, but I still feel left out in the cold. Kind of like shadowy energy can be where we feel restricted and limited and confined and imprisoned, and we pursued all those things thinking for sure, because we all kind of get indoctrinated growing up in the world, telling us if you make your life about these things and you do this and you indulge in that and blah, 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 you'll be happy. And at the big picture, the devil's kind of in control of the world, trying to make us think if we make our life about all those things, we'll be happy. But we do it because we're kind of caught up in it. We get caught up in the illusion of the world. And then we kind of do feel left out in the cold and confused, because I thought those things would make me happy. I thought that was the answer. I would find that emotionally fulfilling. And again, in a lot of ways it could have, but then there kind of comes a time of wanting to really live your more authentic life and wanting to bring those people with you. But I'm kind of more motivated and inspired, Cancer energy, by love. No longer more tipped out of balance in favor of the world or ego or pride and indulgence or things like that. I want to move forward more balance between my worldly nature and my loving, intuitive, creative, inspired nature, to move forward being inspired to think there's a higher truth and justice to aspire to in this world than just what the world told me, because I kind of feel left out in the cold and emotionally confused. Like, it's not all I thought it would be. And that's when we kind of get inspired, letting love and intuition guide us, that I think there's more. And I want maybe a more Virgo energy is about learning these lessons, kind of seeing the things that I thought would make me happy, and they could have made me happy, but again, there's that time where it's like I kind of see what things need to go and what are the good building blocks I want to take with me. Let's build upon those building blocks. And we could have kind of gone on this journey. You know, this journey card is like a picture of an old time and a black and white photo. You know, we all grew up in families, communities, states, countries where people viewed life a certain way, but it's like kind of getting caught up in a time warp. You know, the 1960s, the 1980s, the 2000s. It's like, you know, now that I've kind of learned all these things and I've kind of found out what I really find is more aligned with my truth, what isn't, what I find more emotionally fulfilling, what I don't. Other people in my life could have found those things, like knock their socks off. That was a blast, you know, but we don't live in that time anymore, and life has changed, the world has changed, and, you know, some people do kind of get stuck in a time warp and they want to stay in that time warp, and part of it is because it does, in a shadowy way, the Five of Pentacles, I want to keep moving forward the way I have been. And so long as they keep finding that emotionally fulfilling, that would be the right decision for them. But for other people, it's like, I feel like it's not as abundant as it could be. That if we were to take the lessons we learned and incorporate that into our decision making and how we view life, incorporate it into our philosophy of life, and more letting, again, kind of love and hope and faith, and to create our own life. You know, I think so much of our life kind of we're repeating patterns based on what other people did. And it takes time to really realize what really is my truth. That's like high vibe Aquarius. What really is my dream? And, you know, if you've grown up in families where you have different siblings, what everyone can think is the idea of the dream life and what motivates and inspires them and what they like to do and what they find emotionally fulfilling is different. And we're all on our own journey of trying to figure out, through the emotional confusion and all these different people and how they live their life that we come in contact with, to try to get clear about what my truth really is. And in high vibe, I do want to not keep being manipulated by the past, by other people, by the world, by my fear, by my mind, by my emotional nature. I want to live my authentic life. And that's high vibe Virgo. I want to be free. And high vibe Scorpio is, I'm this emotionally complex human being, and so is everybody else. And everybody has their ideas of what they enjoy and what they love. And high vibe Scorpio I view as going on the roller coaster of life. I know that everything I pursue isn't going to work out the way I want. But I am this emotionally complex human being. I want to be in these emotionally balanced, loving relationships with other people who put in work and effort to work through their fears and insecurities, to look at life from a higher perspective, to have hope and faith and belief in themselves, that are motivated and inspired by love, so we can give birth to something new that's our own. We let love and intuition guide us. We've seen how we've done it. We've seen how other people could do it. But it's not being caught up in all these like rules and regulations that can be shadowy Taurus. Oh no, you have to do this. Oh no, you have to do that. No, you're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to do that. It's like, no, we work together. cooperatively, like people who love and enjoy each other's company do. Let me help you with that. I'll help you with that. Let's work together cooperatively to bring this dream into reality, letting love and intuition guide us instead of these rules and regulations. Well, I'm not supposed to do that. Well, you're supposed to do that. And, you know, that's all this bullshit. And so high vibe people are doing that work within themselves. They're offering love and resources to people in their life to help them work through those issues within themselves. Do you want to move forward with me in this way? I'm going to give birth to something new. I don't want to repeat this old pattern. And if there's people in my life who I think are being deceptive and manipulative, if I think there's people who try to manipulate me by leaving me out in the cold, hoping I won't keep loving and believing in myself, well, that person is going to get left out in the cold because I'm going to move on. Because people are either working together with you in a just and fair, balanced, loving, authentic way, or that isn't how they want to move forward. And then in a more shadowy way, they might try to get you to do the relationship the way they want, being hurtful, unkind, manipulative, deceptive. And then as you're moving forward, there's going to be other people that could be like, shoot, this person, you know, some people, they were just looking for who seems to have those things of the world that I want. And they could have thought if they move forward with you, they wouldn't have the status or the image or the money or be viewed a certain way, where if they were to get in a relationship with someone else, it would look like they had more money, more status, more social clout, look more victorious in the world. Well, some of those people went and did that, and then they found out they could have gotten in some relationships with people who weren't driven and motivated by love, who also wanted to be in a relationship for the status or the ego or the image. And then some of those people realized, shoot, I should have stayed with those people. And as you're moving forward and you look like you're moving forward victoriously and looking like a shining star in the world, now some of those people might want to come be in a relationship with you, which some of those people, friends, family, whoever, you could be open to reconnecting with them in some way, but only if they harness high vibe Five of Pentacles. That they did see the truth of what they were clinging to, which the Four of Pentacles is Capricorn energy, which could be just more caught up in the things of the world, thinking that was the most important thing, and they kind of discredited love. Or because they didn't want to be more just and fair and balanced in a relationship, because the Chariot is about being just and fair and balanced from love. And they could have thought, well, this would have had a lot of good things about it, but maybe they didn't want to be just and fair. Maybe that wasn't enough, looking like a shining star in the world. I want more. You know, when people are looking to these things in the world to make it look like they're living the dream, they're living the life, that'll make them happy, they can be tipped out of balance, not loving themselves, not looking at life from a higher perspective, not inspired to kind of put in the work and effort to work through the things that manipulate them. And so then they go indulge in those things of the world. If it's drugs or booze or getting in a relationship or making their life more about money or materialism, all those things can kind of really drive their life off into the ditch. And they did not see that coming. And some of the people they were in relationships with, some of those people had already lived that kind of life and knew how those things could drive their life into the ditch. So sometimes we've learned some lessons that some other people haven't learned yet. If some of those people come towards us and they've kind of gotten out of their ego, looked at life from a higher perspective, have learned to offer themselves, because to let go of the Four of Pentacles to really free yourself from it, that one pentacle they offer themselves from the 4 to the 5, if it's high vibe Virgo. They did the work within themselves to deal with the truth. And they saw how they were repeating a past pattern of being more codependent, being unwilling to change, unwilling to live their more authentic life, being kind of immature, and they've seen the truth. With those types of people, we would, they're willing, they've kind of humbled themselves, willing to admit they had lessons learned in life. And just as some of you are moving forward, we're all drawn and attracted to certain people because we have life lessons learned from them. And when we had to make our decisions in life with the different people in our life, who am I going to invest time and energy into and who am I not? We could have rejected some people because there were some people we were drawn and attracted to because we had some lessons learned from them. And those people might have been living their life in a way that was outside our comfort zone. So also, when we learn these lessons, then we might make an offer to some people in our life who we think were kind of people who we could have not gotten in friendships or relationships with, got out of friendships or relationships with, and we view them as someone who we're now on the same page with, where maybe before we weren't. So just like we do that towards other people do that towards us. But anybody you're making an offer to and anybody making an offer towards you, high vibe people are looking to see if people really have been enlightened to the truth. And they're going to listen to their intuition. And if they think people have been enlightened to the truth and you're on the same page now, some of those people you reach out to will be willing to work together with you. Some of the people in your life who might communicate with you, whether that's friends, family, adult children, whoever, are willing to do that with you, then you would work together with them. But there's always going to be people in life who just like, oh, well, now you look like the better person to align with. Like, for some reason. Well, now I want to come invest in you. And, if that's just to be your friend now or work with you more cooperatively at work or whatever, you're just going to listen to your intuition about those people. You might know if it's a past romantic interest, who they're just like, who looks like the better deal. Oh, shit, I thought everybody would want to be loving and nurturing to me. And I found out not everybody is. And there's other people in the world that are kind of like me who kind of want to be indulged in a relationship. I don't want to be in a relationship with someone like me. We both kind of have a lack mentality and are more about ourselves. I want to come back and get in a relationship with you. Well, you might realize if you listen to your intuition that they're the exact same person they were before. They might have changed some, but it's kind of seeing the truth that they still have a more worldly focused philosophy, self-focused philosophy. They really haven't been enlightened to the truth. They haven't gotten more emotionally balanced within themselves. They don't believe in a higher truth or justice. They're still about themselves and looking like a shining star in the world. And if that's the case, if there are people that are just in the world that want to be like the next person to indulge in a relationship with you, or someone wants to come back in your life, friend or, romantic, you might be like, I wish you peace, but I'm not the same person I was before. And, I think the relationship we have now is the right relationship for us. This seems to be really where we maybe should have been all this time, but we got in that relationship back there. And I think we learned what we needed to learn, and I'm ready to move on. If it's a friend, if you still think they're kind of being deceptive or manipulative, maybe want an ego boost or something, or I don't know, it would be up to you. We can extend more grace to people who are friends or family members. But it could be, I'm willing to offer people peace and love if my intuition tells me that they're kind of the same person they were before, where it's kind of more about them and they really don't work together with you in a just and fair manner, I'm going to keep moving forward. If you want, whenever you want to reach out, because before you could have been the one who was always trying to get people to work together with you. And it's like, I'm done doing that. If you want to put work and effort into working on this relationship, you can do that until I think you have to also be willing to tell the truth. And if people aren't willing to tell the truth and they kind of want to confuse you about the truth or bury the truth or, just hoping that because they know you have love for them that you'll just let them back into the fold, and it might be, I think I really did end up kind of clearly seeing the truth of who you are, and I don't think we're on the same page, and maybe we never were. But so some of you, because you've done this work within yourself and you listen to your intuition, that's like high vibe Seven of Swords, high vibe Seven of Cups, offered love to yourself and the past to free yourself from it, make peace with it, appreciating yourself and what you bring to the table, dealing with the truth of the situation, detaching from people in your life who you do feel were kind of manipulative or toxic or bossy or controlling or prideful or egotistical or more materialistically driven. As you go through this process and you have to be willing to go through a period of feeling left out in the cold, is what the Five of Pentacles can talk about. Like, I am going to leave this job, maybe even before I find a new job. Or I am going to leave this friend, even though they could have been my best friend. I'm going to leave this romantic relationship because I feel left out in the cold anyway. So why am I in it? I will go through that period of feeling left out in the cold, and I will do this work within myself to give myself the things that I wish other people would have given me. And I'm going to focus my attention and investing myself, well, that's Virgo energy, investing my time, energy, and effort into the people who I do think are motivated and inspired by this, and quit investing my time, energy, and effort into people who I tried to move forward with them in that energy, but they could have kept turning their back to that because of something that manipulates them, or people in their life, or their ego, or their fear, or their defensive nature, or not wanting to do love, not wanting to be in a more authentic, deep, meaningful relationship. It's like, okay, I wish you peace. And then those people probably got in a relationship with someone, if nothing else, someone who doesn't know the truth of who they are, who maybe doesn't want them to be more independent. More worldly, shadowy people are looking to move forward with this way of viewing life that they have, which in shadow, it's more about looking victorious and successful in the world, looking like a shining star in the world, looking like they've given birth to something new, but they're the exact same person they were at the last job, the last friendship, the last romantic relationship. They're just trying to get someone else to try to maybe find someone else who's on that same page as them and views life the same way they do. Well, that would be a just and fair relationship. But again, some of them try to find a loving, encouraging person to get in a relationship with, and then they try to create the illusion they're willing to bring this dream into reality based on love, self-awareness, self-insight, grow, heal, mature. But that's really not the truth. But they're hoping that if they can get the person to move forward in a relationship or a marriage, that even if the people do start to realize the truth, that they're really not motivated and inspired to change. That whatever way it was here is the way it's going to continue. One person could be more loving. One person is more emotionally shallow and superficial. One person's more driven by ego and image. The other person had hope and faith and belief and love, and hoping that if they can get them to move forward in it, well, then our ego kind of gets involved in it. And even when we do see the truth, some people will keep moving forward with it anyway, because there are all those things that kind of tempt us in our worldly nature. This looks victorious and successful. It could be very stable and grounded. And the same way with taking a job, and they tell you, oh, we're so supportive and encouraging here. And, oh, yeah, and I think you'll have lots of opportunity. And then you get in the job, and as time goes by, you kind of realize a lot of that was not true. And that people are being deceptive and manipulative and repeating some poor past habits that are not conducive to it being the way they said it would be. But then they're hoping, well, you took the job by worldly standards, it could look good, look successful. You'll work here X period of time because you won't want to leave to go get a different job. And some people are like, I'm leaving and I'm not staying and putting up with this bullshit. I'll go start looking for a new job right now and I'll keep you off my resume. Nobody will. You'll be like someone I used to know. And unless somebody's got proof to prove I even worked there, I'm just keeping you off my resume. And the same thing happens in relationships. Well, I hope if I get you in it, even once you realize the truth, and you kind of realize that I wasn't who I said I was, and I was kind of deceptive and manipulative, trying to confuse you about the truth, that because of the ego and the image and the fear of having to detach and love and believe in yourself, that you'll stay in it. And some people get trapped because of these things of the world that manipulate them, and they end up repeating some old pattern that they didn't want to be in. And other people are like, I'm not doing it. I'm going to drop the burden. I'm going to get out of my fear and insecurities. I'm going to love and believe in myself. I'm going to work through all the emotional confusion that people weren't who I thought they were. Or if at one time they were that person, but somewhere they kind of drove their life off into the ditch. We have no guarantee when people are going to be tempted to repeat poor past patterns, be fearful, be defensive, be manipulative, be bossy, be controlling. And it's like, I've already been there and done that in relationships, hoping people would change. When you show me you're not who I thought you were, initially I can see if you are willing to move forward with me, but I'm not forever going to keep moving forward with people if they don't. The fives talk about change. If I see the truth that they don't ever change and they keep repeating these poor past patterns, eventually I'm going to love myself enough to believe in myself, and I'm going to leave. And I'm going to look to the future to go give birth to something new. And when you go do that, then those people could also feel left out in the cold because you're not willing to indulge them in their poor behavior. And then they got to go look for someone else to get in a relationship. And then there's also bigger fish in the sea looking for people like that. I too was in relationships with people who wanted me to heal and grow and mature myself or do love. I don't want to do that. Oh, look, did some loving people leave you? Are you more about ego and image and money and materialism? Me too. Or self-indulgence or whatever to feel better? Me too. Let's get in a relationship. We'll both look like shining stars. We'll both look like we moved on. But we won't really be giving birth to anything new. We'll be repeating this old pattern because you can try to create the illusion that you've given birth to something new. You got a new friend, you got in a new relationship, you got a new job, but you're the exact same people in this relationship that you kind of were in the last relationship. So let's go see what's coming up. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Scorpio energy, who are listening to their intuition, who are offering truth and love to people. They are not trying to manipulate or control people. They are moving forward in their own life. If you see that the only people in your immediate future or around you in your environment are these people that have a different philosophy of life than you, You're going to listen to your intuition and keep moving on. So that when the people that are people who are more on the same page as you, you're able to get in a relationship with them if you're not already in a relationship with someone like that. And you're focusing and moving forward in your job, in your career, investing in your friends, your family, enjoying your life. I'm not going to get in a relationship more out of fear or insecurity or lust or greed or pride or ego. But some other people don't know how to love and believe in themselves, and they're in more codependent energy, so they will get in relationships for those reasons, and other people will get in relationships with them, and it might look victorious and successful, but it's the same old stuff. We're repeating an old pattern of being in a relationship because I don't know how to love and believe in myself, and it's kind of a more codependent relationship. What's coming up for the people that are in high vibe energy that they might not see coming up? We're just going to take this card, the Strength card. Why? Because of the Six of Cups, which is Scorpio energy. As you go through this process within yourself, it has helped you temper things about your own worldly nature, your beastly nature, which could be all these things of the world that you want. Well, it's like our fire, Leo, this is Leo energy, fire sign energy. There are all these things that we want. But am I going to move forward in things just because of the want for these things? Or does it have to be based on truth and love? And because you're tempering your ego about those things and maintaining balance within yourself emotionally and reconciling yourself with the past to free yourself from the past and be brave to have these new beginnings, but tempering yourself so you're not acting more out of pride and ego and all that stuff. There's going to be other people who see the truth of that, who want to be friends with you, work together with you, the Eight of Pentacles and the Star card, and moving forward victoriously. It could be, just getting a new job, getting a new friend, getting in a new romantic relationship, but not wanting to repeat those old patterns. And when other people see that, there's other people that you can meet as you're moving forward who've known people who are like this too, in the workplace, in friendship groups, romantically, and they don't want to be in relationships with people who are repeating those old patterns either. And when they see that you're not doing that and you're moving forward, putting in work and effort to love and believe in yourself and maintain balance in your life and self-discipline, yeah, they want to move forward with you. And so will other people. And you're just going to listen to your intuition, who seem to be the people who really are harnessing this energy in a high vibe way, and who are the people who are kind of just trying to present themselves as being in that energy, but they're not. I mean, if they are, if you get a new job, you work with all sorts of people. And we have to kind of accept that people are where they're at. If they're more immature, if they're more, whatever they are, you can just kind of deal with people. And the people, if they're more shadowy, like bossy and controlling and manipulative, you'll just try to keep your distance from those people and not play those games with them. You'll be who you are, and they can be who they are. And I think it's kind of a way of kind of holding up a mirror. Do you see her being bitchy or rude or blowing off the handle here? And I'm going to stay balanced and not take the bait to get down in the pen with you. Because if you're a more loving, nurturing person who likes to get along with people, and then there's other people who don't like that, they can try to do things to try to get you, to play in the mud with them. You can, if that's not your nature, they would win in that type of scenario because that's just not the type of person you are. So, and not the type of person you want to be. So keep maintaining balance, treating other people the way you like to be treated. And every time they don't treat you that way in return, and you don't react and take the bait, it's kind of like a mirror goes up. Do you see who you are and how you're acting? And eventually they might temper their own ego, because kind of the shame that comes with every time when they know you didn't take the bait and play the game. It's like, I'm not going to play those games. If you want to act like that, you act like that. And eventually they kind of temper their ego, because they kind of don't like also feeling like a shithead. But if you were to take the bait and do the game with them, well then, I guess it was tit for tat. And it's like, I'm not doing it. What's coming up for some people who harness some shadowy Scorpio energy that they don't see coming? The truth. Why? Because of the Ten of Pentacles. You know, people can try to create an illusion that they're a more emotionally mature, just, fair, stable, grounded, loving person than they really are. You can hide the truth from some of the people, but you can't hide the truth from all the people. And eventually people see the truth of their foundation that they operate from. High vibe Virgo versus a more shadowy Virgo energy. When we get to the 10, it's like a completion of a cycle. We're meant to look at some things we're meant to let go of, so we can be a student of life and go to that next phase of life and start learning lessons at that new phase of life. And some people see the truth that these people are unwilling to give up anything. And one thing they might be unwilling to give up is their more worldly view of life, being indulged, or that ego, image, money, materialism, and self-indulgence is what drives and motivates them. And some people were trying to deceive people. If they had some loving people in their life who moved on, they maybe tried to play the victim, like they were the one left out in the cold, that the loving people had their shadowy traits and characteristics, trying to confuse people about the truth. No, it was me. I was the one left out in the cold. Don't move forward with those people. You should invest in me, and you should move forward with me. And some of the people in their life did believe them because of how they present themselves in the world, you know? But then as time goes by, as some of these people keep repeating these patterns, maybe you get in other relationships, but they never move forward to really bring the dream into reality. Eventually, people maybe start to see that you either want to be indulged in a relationship and you have no intention of bringing the dream into reality, and other people see that, or they get in relationships with people more for money and status and ego and image. And then in shadowy Scorpio energy, it's a more emotionally shallow, superficial relationship, and people can see the truth of it. And then other people kind of might distance themselves, like, you're not the person I thought you were. You know, all of our life growing up and knowing each other, I had this certain image of you. But, you know, some people were wearing a false mask. Somewhere along the way, people could have been kind of moving forward with people in life, growing and healing and maturing themselves. But then they could have gotten to a certain phase in life where to go to that next step, like other people are doing, that isn't their truth. It's kind of like getting stunted at a certain way of viewing life, and maybe it is that just more codependent and not willing to put in that work to get more emotionally balanced within themselves, staying tipped out of balance. And so if there's shadowy people in the world, they're always going to have high vibe people in their life who eventually see the truth. Those people did want to move forward with them in a relationship, just like you did with different people in your life. At the same time, you're kind of going through this. Other people in the world are going through this in jobs, friendships, and relationships. And they didn't want to detach from that job, friendship, or relationship, but they just can't deny the truth anymore. If these people were willing to move forward in that way, they would, and we can't keep staying in denial of the truth. And if we want our dreams to come into reality, to be in more tempered, emotionally balanced, deep, meaningful, loving relationships, it's not, these people aren't on that page. And other people see the truth and they move on. And then those people, are looking for employers and stuff and work partners and friendships and relationships with people who are more high vibrational. And they've tempered their ego, done this work to reconcile themselves with the past situation, seeing the truth of it. I don't want to repeat that pattern. I'm looking for people who are in this energy. And then they might look at people they've known and people they didn't pursue a relationship with or got out of a relationship with it. It's like, now that I think of it, I think you were really more on the same page as me, but I wasn't there at that time. And maybe together with some people could separate. They kind of live parallel lives, do parallel life experiences, both kind of a hopeful, believing, loving nature. Maybe all had some lessons to learn, and then people can come back together at a future date after they've kind of learned those lessons and maybe work through some issues of things that were unique to them that they needed to work through and resolve from their childhood, whether that's pain and heartbreak or kind of being drawn and attracted to people who could kind of subconsciously remind you of people in your family, and this trying to get them to love you and finally you detach. I don't need people that got those certain traits and qualities and characteristics to change and love me. I learned to love me. And now I'm ready to be, I'm free of that. And now I'm ready to live my own life and not have those issues from the past affect me. So there you go, Scorpio. Some shadowy people, if they're in people in relationships with them that are willing to stay in a relationship with them, they could feel like they've got it going on. I just think that if they're not being authentic and honest and just and fair, I think eventually people will see the truth of their foundation. And I don't think people are going to want to keep working with them. And if they do keep working with them, it might just be for money or status or image. And I don't know that that's something to be so proud of. But some people don't care. Are they kind of indulging me in my immature ways of being? Yeah, that's what's most important to me, so I don't care. I just want to know how it looks. If it looks good, I'm good. It's like, okay. And other people, I don't care so much about what it looks like. I want it to be authentic. And other people are like, authentic is optional. Okay, there you go, Scorpio. I wish you peace, love, and joy. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.